Hey, everybody, on this episode of the GH Report, sure, we could talk about Nelle visiting Carly, or the body that Sonny has buried underneath the Charlie's bar, or, heck, Peter August in the Dum Dum Cabin. But no. We're really going to go in depth on the hottest crossover on GH. That's Colonel Sanders coming into Port Charles. It's ridiculous, and we're going to talk it all up next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, everybody. That's what we call in the industry equality tease. Welcome, everybody, to the GH Report. There you go. This is the show that breaks down the latest goings on in Port Charles. I am one of your hosts, and probably the sober one this evening, Frank Moran. Yes.
I'm his co-host, Carla Renata, and I'm sober, but Frank just made me laugh. Okay, anyway.
There you go. Carla's just enjoying some Ripple as we get into this broadcast.
I am not enjoying Ripple. I have some very fine South African wine. See, this is how he does us, y'all. He calls me out on the air all the time, but it's okay.
As always, folks, you can call us out. And the way you can do that is you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and, of course, hop in the chat. Carla's got her super fancy computer over here, so she's going to see the chat. And feel free to share any of your thoughts going on in Port Charles this week, or just in General Hospital, just regular occurrences that you want to share, and they might be top of mind. But before we get into what I teased, one of the best things to ever happen in General Hospital history. First, let's give a shout out to James Lott Jr., the man who created this entire show. If you follow him on social media, you may notice that he's a little under the weather at the moment.
Yes, he has a little Bell's palsy happening. And for those of you that don't know what Bell's palsy is, it's when half of your face becomes paralyzed and it starts to affect your speech. It's usually very temporary. Sometimes it goes away in a couple of days. Sometimes it goes away in a couple of hours. Sometimes it lasts for years. It just kind of depends on the individuals. But we are hoping that for him, it only lasts for a couple of days and that he's back to normal very soon. We love you.
Absolutely. That man's got dulcet tones, and they need to be heard. So we don't want anything that's impeding that. Also, we look around. Let's give a shout out to our special studio audience member. It's not Maurice Bernard, folks. I know that's what you're thinking. Like, oh, clearly, Frank's giving a shout out for this. It must be important. But it is somebody of equal stature.
See, every time I ask him not to do something, he does the exact opposite. I shouldn't say anything. We have a guest that does not want to be on camera, but he's my guest.
Can he not be mentioned? Just a little shout out.
No.
You can't give a shout out?
No.
Wow. Let's give a shout out to Albert. Come on. That's right. He's here in studio with us to enjoy this, to watch these two well-oiled, seasoned professionals break everything down. Look at that. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Carla.
Yes.
What did you think of this past week at General Hospital?
Okay. Can I start with the obvious? Can I just start with, or do we want to wait?
Just give me a general overview, and then we're going to go right into it.
It was kind of slow until like after the 4th of July, and then the 4th of July things kind of heated up. All right. Is what I felt about this week. It wasn't as much of a snooze fest as last week was.
No, for a slow burn, it really paid off at the end.
Yeah, it did.
This week. Oh boy.
Yeah, it did in many ways. In more ways than one.
So let's just jump right into it. To what must be one of the most bizarre examples of cross promotion ever. We see not only Colonel Sanders, played by George Hamilton, arrive there in Port Charles, but also happens to be at least a longtime friend of Maxie Jones.
And that they never explained how they met.
No.
Never explained how Maxie met Colonel Sanders. And I'm like, I can't. And then they sit there and they have this whole catch-up session over some KFC. I'm like, I can't. Like, it made me laugh out loud. I was like, they have food in their laps. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's some Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm like, really? Is this happening? General Hospital? Y'all, come on now. Are y'all really that hard up for viewers that you going to plug KFC up into the mix? What are we going to see next? The Popeyes lady? I'm like, I can't.
So
You know that's funny.
It
You know
is.
that's funny, Frank. Come on, laugh. You know, you know it's funny.
This is just so ridiculous. Now, Carla, put yourself in mindset. If I told you right now, hey, guess what, Carla, I know Colonel Sanders. Not only that, he's going to come in and hang out with us for a little bit. Would you be at all excited that Colonel Sanders was coming in?
No, because I know the real Colonel Sanders is dead.
All right,
So
thanks for
there's
raining on
that.
that parade. Okay.
Yes, I threw acid rain on that parade.
Yes.
Yes, I did. No, I wouldn't be excited about. Not unless he gonna bring some food. Now, if he gonna bring some food, then I wouldn't really care. Because then I get my grub on and smack my fingers and wouldn't care. So, like they did on General Hospital. But did they have sides? Did they have some mashed potatoes and coleslaw? I couldn't tell. I could just see the fried crispy chicken.
I can imagine the Colonel's bringing the fixins as well.
I didn't see fixes. I just saw the crispy chicken, which he made reference to as he left.
So-
I'm like, how you gonna make reference to crispy chicken as you walking out the door? Like, really? I can't.
So you're telling me that Port Charles is a world where in this world there exists a true Colonel Sanders, not a series of commercials that are on Port Charles television that have various actors playing Colonel Sanders.
Yeah,
But
they made
indeed,
it seem like he was a real person that Maxie had a relationship with for eons.
he's like the most interesting man in the world, but Colonel Sanders.
Okay, but what I kind of love about Colonel Sanders being there is that he was the impetus that brought Maxie and Lulu back together.
So if
Kind of,
you're-
sort of.
So rather than maybe do like a real reconciliation, kind of take a little bit of time and kind of make it seem very natural, let's just bring Colonel Sanders in, and all of a sudden, boom, here's some crispy chicken, some mashed potatoes, some gravy, and now we're best friends again.
Yeah, after they crunched on that coleslaw.
And not only this, though, not is he just coming by just to say hi, but he also is being pursued by a cartel. And they want
that was a stretch.
they want
That was a stretch.
his secret recipe for the 7 herbs and spices.
And he
for his
gives it to
chicken.
Maxie for safekeeping.
What he does is he carries it in an envelope in his jacket. Like you do
Like-
not have that memorized. I would have that memorized.
First of all, if it's a secret, why are you giving it to somebody to put into a book that's been hollowed out on their bookshelf for anybody to take off the bookshelf? And then I love how Maxie's like, oh, nobody will find it there. Yeah, right. I'm waiting for that day to roll around.
But as I mentioned to somebody on Twitter, it's like, you just have to know that every time we ever see another scene in Maxie's apartment, you have to just know that inside that hollowed out book is the secret recipe for Colonel Sanders chicken. Always.
I need
it is
to go-
always sitting there.
I need to go on the set. I need to go on the set of General Hospital just so that I can find the hollowed out book to see what the 11 spicy herbs are.
Because, this is never going to be mentioned
Ever again.
Yes.
They'll never talk about it again.
But we just, as the viewers, 2 years from now, we will come back and look like, hey, you know what, though?
Whatever happened to those 11 herbs and spices that the Colonel Sanders left in Maxie's apartment?
That recipe is still in that book.
What's going to happen when she move and she start packing up the boxes? Packing up the books.
That's right. Like, what is she gonna do with that secret recipe? What is she gonna do? This
Oh,
This was
Jesus, I
bonkers.
can't.
No, they did the oil olay during the nurses' ball, and they've always done Shriners Hospital for Children. During at a certain point of the year, they give those name checks.
Right.
This by far was one of the most random and bizarre ones that I've ever
It was
seen.
random and it was why. It was like, and they held on to it until I think the day it was happening is when they posted it on social media, because I posted it. I was like, ooh, look who the special guest on General Hospital gonna be today. And people were like, oh my God, really? Folk went in on Twitter. They went in because I posted that. And I was like, look, I didn't hire him.
Yeah.
I didn't cast him to be on General Hospital. I'm just reposting what they posted.
Just the little bit of Twitter that I did see, from what I saw in the
Folk
small
went
sample size,
in.
nobody was going, holy cow, this was the best thing I ever saw.
No, but Maxie did. Maxie was like, oh my God, this is the best day ever after she got the news about baby James.
Well, you know what? It is easy to say that if you're being paid to say it. That, if somebody's paying me, I'll say anything anybody wants to say. I'm getting paid to
And
make you
then there's
believe that. But otherwise, this was ridiculous.
It was crazy. It was the craziest product placement I've ever seen done on any show. Period. Not just a soap opera, but just on any show. Like, because with KFC they've had Reba McEntire play the Colonel.
Yep.
They've had George Hamilton, and I think somebody else whose name escapes me in the moment.
They've had not Josh Brolin, but his dad, James Brolin.
Yeah, so they've had several celebrities do this, portray the Colonel. Which, first of all, I don't know who thought that was funny. I think that's so disgraceful to the memory of the real Colonel Sanders. Like, why are you having people play him? Like,
Well, but they saw in marketing. I was reading an article about that the idea of swapping out whoever was playing Colonel Sanders resonates with people that are watching those commercials. They like the idea of like, oh yeah, it's always something a little different, that you never know who might be playing the Colonel next.
I think it's stupid, but then that's just me.
I think I would have been happy if it would just been them eating KFC. And they could have talked about KFC.
Yeah.
But the fact that they bring in the Colonel Sanders as a real life character that
and
also knows Maxie.
That also knows Maxie and brings her the secret recipe was just ludicrous. It was crazy. That was a stretch. That was a lot going on.
Now, folks, you may think you're turning in right now and watching just like the Colonel Sanders channel, and where we talk about the latest goings on in Colonel Sanders' life. But no, this is the GH report. But we do produce here at AfterBuzz content all across the spectrum for you, the dedicated TV and film audiences there, breaking down your favorite TV shows, or we're discussing films, box office reviews, things like that. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there's no network that works harder to satisfy our television fans. But we need your help, so we're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you and help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about those pesky notifications, don't worry, they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and you know what, Carla Renata, she's going to give you a personal shout-out.
Shout out.
Look at that. There you go. Maybe you might be lucky, just like Albert, right here in the studio.
I would swear you were the one that had the Australian red wine. The way you talk
Ripple.
it. It is not Ripple.
And for now, just thanks for being a big fan and helping us make AfterBuzz the ESPN of TV talk. Look at that.
All right, so there's that. So let's talk about Maxie and Lulu reuniting. It was very brief. They didn't spend a whole lot of time on that, did they?
Because it was more that corny Colonel Sanders stuff.
But I was happy to see them be friends again.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I guess with all things with soap operas, you want to see people kind of break apart and then watch them reunite.
Yeah, I'm glad they reunited. But what I'm really interested to know is what happened when she tried to call Liesl and Nina.
Yeah,
that's what I really want to know. Did the phone go to voicemail, or did she get him with homeboy screaming in the background? I don't know.
But this is the kind of thing where it makes me wonder if the writers were like, well, sure, we could try to come up with some kind of somebody's in peril, or the two of them end up being in peril, and then they kind of reconnect and reunite their friendship. Or we could just do something corny, and we want to do this product placement with Kentucky Fried Chicken, so why don't we just have the Colonel come into their lives?
Well, they did that, but kudos to Kristen Storm and the young lady that plays Lulu. You would really have thought that they were excited about that moment. They acted their booties off. Like,
yeah,
their acting skills paid off like a zillion times in that moment.
And the Colonel can just know who you are just by looking in your eyes.
Whatever. Let's move on to Nelle.
Yes.
Let's move on to Nelle. Nelle has put her guard down, and she about to get her face cracked. As we already know, she's about to leave. She already shot her last scenes at GH, and we don't know what those last scenes were or what they entail. But we know that she shot her last scenes at GH. So I'm really interested to know how they're going to take her out.
I felt like this was the one time where I felt Nelle just could not resist trying to rub Carly's nose in it.
But what was interesting about that is that Carly kept her cool.
Yep, give it up for Carly.
I was really surprised that Carly didn't go like batshit crazy on her when she came in there talking about, oh, I'm gonna get, like, you could see on her face that she was going batshit crazy, but her physicality never showed that. Like, she never tried to choke her out. She never came at her. She was like, okay, well, that's nice. I'm sure it'll be nice. And I was like, but what was interesting is that she waited until Sonny got there, and then she kind of lost it when she communicated how she felt about it to Sonny.
At least Carly is learning, because the way that she acted in that room is the way that I wanted her to act sooner. But I guess you're not going to realize maybe you need to change your ways until you get into the the worst situation you could possibly be in.
Right.
To realize, oh, maybe I should have played it cool in other situations leading up to this, and I wouldn't be sitting here.
And what's happened to Mary Pat? We ain't seen her in a minute. Where's she at?
I'm so fine with that.
What happened to Mary Pat? Did they lock her up in another room? Like, what's going on? Like, she just kind of disappeared, and all we see now is the little Rupert. All we see is Rupert and him letting people in and out, like Carly's at the hotel. Like, that made me laugh when they let Nelle into Carly's room, and Rupert was like, would you like to see her? She's like, yeah, she won't be here very long, but, come back. She won't be here very long. I'm like, what is this? Is this Hotel Ferncliff now? What the hell is going on?
All it takes is one little talk from Sonny.
Oh, my God. That was pure comedy.
And, it'll change your life around.
That was pure comedy, how all of a sudden he went from totally torturing and terrorizing her to, like, treating her like she was at the Four Seasons. It made me laugh out loud. I'm like, what is going on here? I can't.
Yeah, so definitely, I feel like that was one misstep by Nelle. Don't go in there and try to rub her face in it. Just, if you want to make this work, you got to just lay off of Carly. And even Michael tells her, even though we know Michael wants her to fail, but he's like, you got to get Nelle.
You got to give her some space. Yeah. But then her face got cracked because she told Michael and Sonny and Jaxson that she was going to get her ring size. So imagine Sonny's face when he rolled up in the cell and there was Nelle. Yep. I'm like, getting your ring size, son. She's like, oh, it wasn't far away, really. What I know about prisons, ain't no prison around the corner from no jewelry store. That's what I know. Ain't no. Any prison in this country is out in the frickin' boondocks. There is no jewelry store like within a 3-block radius of a prison anywhere in America. So, like, really, I'm surprised he even took that as an excuse. I'm like, whatever. You
never know. There might be one guy that decided, like, you know what? People that are being released, they probably want to buy a ring for some jewelry. Yeah, I should open up a store right next to it.
That's what's not going to happen.
So we get to see the fallout, too, with Michael, Jaxson, and Sonny as well. I feel like Jaxson has a better understanding of what Michael's trying to do and does give him at least a word of advice. It's like, don't lie more than you have to, because every little lie is going to take a piece of your soul along with it.
Yeah, because he's like, I think he brought up Carly as an example. Like, take your mother as an example. Look how much she's lied and look how much she's had to pay for the lies that she's told. So, just heed that warning. And then, but I love the reaction of when when Michael announced that he was going to marry Nelle, how everybody reacted to it. It was pure even Joss couldn't be as supportive as she had been in the past, because Joss is unaware that Nelle is on to her, but Nelle is on to her. So she was like, okay. And I love how Bobby was like the only person that really was annoyed. Bobby and Ned's wife.
Oh, yeah, Olivia.
They were the only two that were clearly bothered by it. And then all Ned had to say about it was, at least she doesn't have any of the ELQ stock. Like, all he cared about is if she was able to control any of the stock or not. That's all he cared about.
Because I have to assume that Michael is going to make her sign a prenup. We've not seen that conversation happen, even though I know the wedding is kind of being accelerated. Yeah, like I think toward the end of the week, he was like, let's get married tonight. I'm like, dude, you might want to do a prenup. And I personally, as somebody watching the show, I'm kind of scared for brother, because she did kill her last fiance. She killed him. So what's to stop her from? And she's very crafty, and she's very crafty, and she's very, what's the word I'm looking for? She's very ingenious when it comes to trying to throw people under the bus and make herself look innocent. So, case in point with the disappearing ink. Like, they know that she was the one that used the disappearing ink on that flyer, but they can't prove that she did it. Yeah. Like, anybody could have did that. So they would have to prove that she actually bought some disappearing ink to be able to do that. And I don't think that they'll be able to pull that off in the next 2 weeks. Do you? I don't know. As Michael discovered when he finally was able to get into Nelle's computer, is that she erases her browser history every day. So that makes it kind of tough trying to track down her online comings and goings. But if he took her computer to, sometimes when your computer crashes or something, if you take it to one of those places where they can scrub your hard drive, they can find it on the hard drive. Because even though you
delete your browser history and you delete files that you think are deleted, if they go and they scrub your hard drive, it's still there.
Uh-oh. Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the GH Report. I gotta go.
I only know that because I had that situation happen with me where my computer. You probably haven't, but there was an episode of Sex and the City where Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh, wait, you don't think I watched Sex and the City?
No, you didn't watch Sex and the City, did you?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you see the episode where Carrie was typing her column and then the computer crashed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when the computer crashed and she took it to the Apple store to get it fixed, they were like, yeah, unless this was saved on your hard drive, because the hard drive automatically saves every couple of seconds or so, unless this is automatically saved on your hard drive, we won't be able to get it. So even if you delete stuff, it's still possibly on your hard drive. That's why I said that, because that happened to me. That exact episode happened to me where I was typing something and that little folder came up with the question mark. I was like, no. It was bad. It was bad. I was writing a book at the time, and it erased 3/4 of my book content.
Oof. And all those shirtless photos of men.
No. It was interviews. It erased 3/4 of my interviews, and I
Okay.
had to redo them over. I can't stand you. Oh, my God. You make me out to be a charlatan, and I am
What?
not.
Not at all. Not at all. Real quick, folks, as we're talking about Sunny, played by Maurice Bernard, just in case you were wondering, I am looking around and do see Albert. Fantastic. Glad to have him here. I see plenty of empty seats and no Maurice Bernard. Anyway, we'll move on to another story.
Yes, please do.
We see Peter August still stuck in that cabin. Still stuck in that cabin.
Yeah, but he gets found out accidentally by this little Boy Scout. And the Boy Scout is funny because he was like, you remember how to do this? Well, you can get a badge for this, and you can get all 3 of those badges at one time. And he's like, yeah, I don't recall. He said something to the effect of, I don't recall you being able to have the power to make me get those badges. He asked if he knew his Scoutmaster or something. Is that what it was? He said, do you know Scoutmaster, whatever? He's like, no. He said, well, then how do you have the power to get me those 3 badges? Yeah, I got to go. The fireworks are about to start. And he bounces. That made me laugh out loud. I'm like, oh, he's funny.
This is so crazy to me that I would like to think that if I was a young child coming into a cabin and I see somebody tied up, that I would at least tell somebody.
Well,
and
apparently,
all his rationale for not was like, come on.
Yeah, but apparently this little boy is known for telling tall tales. So when he would try to tell somebody about this person in the cabin tied up, that would just be another one of his tall tales and nobody would believe him. But I do love the fact that GH made the person that find him a Boy Scout. Because that creates a whole nother, like if it had been somebody else in Port Charles, like Elizabeth or Franco or somebody else like that, who would have cared? But the fact that it's a Boy Scout that finds him, there's that dilemma of a little kid trying to figure out what his conscience is. And to me, that was interesting.
I don't know. That was just like ridiculous.
That was a stretch for you?
That was a stretch for me. It's like, even if I was a boy that cried wolf, I would think that if I found somebody tied up in a cabin, walk with me, I will show you this cabin. I think as an adult, I would, even if I thought like, man, you always tell these tall tales, all right, I will go with you. I figure you would. Why wouldn't you?
But he does say that he tried to tell somebody and they accused him of telling tall tales. He did say that.
Yeah, then come with me. And if I'm a liar, then call me a liar.
Yeah, but then Peter works on him psychologically and says, oh, when he brings him the s'mores and says, oh, I brought you the s'more, but it's all crunched up. And he's like, yeah, buddy, thanks. But, how am I going to eat it? My hands are tied up. He's like, you want me to untie your hands? He's like, well, unless you think you can't do a knot, wink, wink. Because,
brother.
And the little boy, what does he say? There's a whole chapter in the handbook about knots. And then he goes to untie the knot. And that's where we're left. We don't know if he unties a knot or not.
Well, I'm guessing either we didn't or he did, but Peter August kind of wraps it around his head to make it seem like he's still tied up.
And then his attitude, like he's messing up, because his attitude when they come back to the cabin, even Nina's like, what happened while we were gone? Your attitude is different.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Yeah, his attitude is different because somebody found him and gave him some food. So there's that.
This storyline is just taking so long. it has to end because I am just tired of seeing him just constant. Every time it comes to that cabin, I'm like, all right, he's just going to be either tortured by Liesl, is going to be eating some food, or making him dictate his new novel.
Yeah, that's a stretch. Now that was a stretch for me. That she's all like, okay, ready, let's begin. I'm like, really? So now you've gone from keeping him tied up for revenge to keeping him tied up so that you can release the new book. Girl, please.
When you were writing your book, how long did it take you?
Well,
you don't have to give us the exact dates, but like 6 months?
No, I literally, because I procrastinate immensely, it literally took me probably 72 hours to write it.
Wow.
I'm one of those I'm one of those people that I have to be in the mood to write, and then once I start writing, I just write until my hands get tired. So I don't know if he's that type of person, but some people, they have a plan. Like the best way for me to have done it would have been to write a chapter a week and then leave it alone for a couple of weeks and then go back and look at it, because you get so tired from writing that your eyes don't really see what you think you're seeing. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But when you're dictating to somebody, that's different because you're just talking and telling them what to write down. So that's a little different. You can write a book really fast that way.
So you're saying 72 hours. So imagine you're writing it, spending 8 hours a day. That's like 9 days. Mm-hmm. Do you really think Liesl is going to be spending 8 hours a day with Heinrich / Peter writing down everything that he's saying?
Isn't she an administrator at the hospital?
She was let go. Monica gave her the heave-ho after that whole... after Flynn.
Finn and all that mess.
Yeah.
Okay. So, she got a lot of free time. Well, since she's not working at GH, she got a lot of free time on her hands. She might be able to spend 8 hours, but then that'll be very suspect to Maxie, because Maxie will be like, how come you're not spending no time with your grandchild?
So I have to imagine at best probably 4 hours a day. So that's, right now, we're looking at like 18 days. That could mean like... Holy cow, like 3.5 more weeks of this, which would be terrible if we... This makes me sad. I'm going to move on from the storyline. I can't take it anymore.
Let's talk about Milo confiding in Sonny about his mom and Alzheimer's. That was a nice little scene. They never give... The guy that plays Milo, they always give him really kind of one-offs and really funny things to say, so it was really nice that they gave him an emotional arc this week to talk about that with Sonny.
Yeah, because I feel like probably the most emotional part of it was when he wanted to leave the business and start his own gym and all that, and then that fell apart. But I feel like in terms of that's probably been the meatiest thing he's had up until this.
Yeah, they give him a couple of lines that are kind of funny, and that's kind of it. So it was nice that they let him stretch his range a little bit. That was nice. I was very excited to see him get some shine in terms of his acting ability. And I was remember how last week we were talking about how the kids grow on General Hospital? So it was nice to see big old grown Cameron this week.
What did you think? As people were commenting on Twitter, it's like he's got that look of Xander, so we're able to kind of see that connection, which makes sense. I'm trying to figure out like how much of it is kind of just new to the show, or just how much they're writing the role, because it seems still kind of kind of awkward.
I felt like he was awkward. I felt like the writing for him was awkward. I felt like he was awkward and the writing for him was awkward. I feel like maybe he's new to the business, because when I listen to him say the lines, even when there's that moment where Josh throws that little piece of food at him and he crunches and he eats it, like I felt like that was probably something that she did that wasn't in a script to help him engage in that scene a little better, which makes me question why Oscar would be jealous of somebody like that, because they have a history. Like, really?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see the Oscar jealousness come up.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I wouldn't be jealous of him. He can barely talk. Really? You gonna be jealous of that? Okay, whatever. I'm like, so there's that. And then I kind of like the fact that Alexis has a meeting with Kiki to tell her, about the trial and about how she had a heads up on something from Scotty about that picture with Griffin, and her and Griffin have to make that decision as to whether or not they're going to let that one night stand that they had become public with her mother or not. And I think, and Alexis is like, if you have any dirt, you better come clean with it now because you really don't want to be blindsided in court. And I feel like that's just a setup for that to come out in court. That's what it felt like.
I feel like if you're going to tell anybody, a secret you don't really want to get out, tell your lawyer.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell anybody, and it's going to help protect you if that moment comes.
Yeah, I feel like she probably should have told Alexis, but then she has that whole conversation with Griffin where she's like, we can't say anything. If we don't say anything, nobody will know but us. Which she's right. Nobody knew that went down but her and him.
Well, not anymore.
Oh, well,
because
Dr. Bench doesn't really know.
Dr. Bench doesn't know, but Scotty knows because he was out in the park when they went to go have their off-campus conversation. And if my mom ever finds out that we slept together, and there's Scotty just hanging out there, lurking in the bushes.
Remember I'm always talking about somebody lurking in the background? That's the one thing about soap operas I hate. Somebody's always lurking in the background, hearing something that they shouldn't hear. I'm like, what is going on? And just to flip back for a minute, and I love the fact that Carly's finally figuring out that she can't confide in Dr. Kevin as much as she thinks she can. Like she started to pull that back just a little bit because it's feeling like it might backfire. Don't you think?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, because all we've seen of that person next door is we did see Mary Pat for one scene inject that person that's in room 22.
Exactly. I'm like, where Mary Pat at? She on vacation? What's happening?
I don't know what she's doing with that guy.
Did she take a vacation? Did she get another gig for a couple of weeks? I just need to know.
And we also have, we get to see a little bit more of Liz and Terry having their conversation.
Oh, right. Terry, this is what, I knew there was something I forgot. So I really loved how Terry explained how being trans is not a choice. You know, it was not a choice. It was something that she always was, and how difficult it was for her family to accept. Like, I really like the fact that she explained it very succinctly and very clearly for people watching that are not familiar with what someone who is trans is, what that entails, and how they come to that conclusion or how they figure out that that's what they are. I really like how General Hospital very shortly but succinctly explained that through the character of Terry.
And it was interesting to see Franco's conversation as well, and how Elizabeth would also look at Franco as he was talking with Terry. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that showed a lot about that dynamic.
That was a great scene. That was a great scene. I liked her being there, and I liked when they toasted. They were like, let's drink to blah blah blah, and Terry was like, I'll drink to anything. I'm like, well, okay, girl, and cheers to you. Hey.
One other scene that I did like with Franco as well, as we mentioned, Scotty hanging out in the park. The reason he was there was he ran into Franco to talk about how they were going to be sabotaging the court case. But also Franco finally opened up to him about his past.
Yeah.
And what had happened to him as a kid.
Yeah, that was a great scene, too.
And it was interesting to see Scotty as somebody who even says, like, my dad, if Lee was here, he would know the right thing to say. I am not good in these situations.
Right. I'm loving Scotty Baldwin being back, though, as I said last week. I love him being back. He's great. I love him.
There are many great characters on the show that, if given the opportunity and the material, they can deliver. Great.
Right. But what I'm not real, and they've given Anna a little time off because she's on vacation. So
Yes.
the Anna and Finn thing is on the back burner for a minute. So we won't see them for a while. But
so before we wrap up, we might as well do a quick little news gossip situation.
Yay!
TV News.
Oh, before we do that,
This is a
forgot-
pre-news gossip, folks.
we're not gossip, but we forgot to acknowledge that Leslie Charleston is coming back.
Well, this is part of the news and gossip.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead with your bad self.
Go ahead and say
No,
yes.
no, you
She is healed up after her injury, and she will be returning to the show. So, we had great soap opera legend filling in for her while she was away.
Yes.
It'll be nice to have her back.
Yeah, we like Leslie Charleston as Monica.
One other person that also might be returning as well, because Nashville is wrapping up. So Jonathan Jaxson, who originated the role of Lucky on General Hospital.
Yep.
Probably the one, if anybody thinks Lucky, I mean, as well as Greg Vaughn was, and one other gentleman that's now on
I've
Bold and
always
Beautiful now.
associated Jonathan Jackson with Lucky, though. I mean, because
Yeah.
he's played Lucky since he was a kid.
Yeah, so the talk is with Nashville wrapping up, would you ever be tempted to come back to General Hospital? And so while he...
That's his home, dude.
Well, I mean, it's his home, but it also, I mean, Anthony Geary and Jeannie Francis, more anchor points for him.
Right.
Maybe Elizabeth Hurst, but it's been a while for them as well since they did stuff. But he didn't imply anything happening soon, but he always says he's always open to an opportunity
that's
to
his
return to
home.
hospital. So I for one, would be happy to see him come back if they
Yeah.
could give him some better stuff to work on than when he was there last time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he was just kind of...
He was floundering.
That's just, just to see more of the Spencer heritage in there. I mean, we talk about, just finding families.
Because now it's just Lulu, right?
It is just
Lulu and Bobby.
Yeah. And Bobby's not around that much. It'd be great to see somebody at least kind of... Because we're certainly not letting Lulu step into Luke's shoes. So let's have somebody else try to step into them.
No, Lulu's a journalist.
Oh, well, there you go. And we don't need to have him, stepping into all the bad tendencies that Luke had, but just somebody that is just kind of an instigator of stuff, kicking off big grand adventures and stuff.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have somebody as some kind of Spencer.
Yeah.
Kind of involved in that part of the General Hospital kind of story dynamic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all agree. Look at that. Do we have a real quick rapid fire prediction? Carla, something you want to see happen?
AfterBuzz TV prediction.
I would love to see this Nelle thing wrap up in the next couple of weeks, as we know that it will, because she's the character. I mean, the actress that's playing the character is Chloe is going to be leaving. So, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to go down. Like, is somebody going to kill her? Is she going to disappear? Like, will she disappear in a way where she can come back? Is she going to have the baby? Is the baby Michael's? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on.
At first I thought, hey, Michael's doing a great job with this plan. He's going out. He's being smart about everything. Then he made the one dumb error in this whole plan so far.
What?
And that was agreeing to work with the PCPD.
Oh, yeah.
Because the second you bring them in,
it's like the Keystone Cops.
That's right. I would never involve the PCPD in anything I was trying to do.
It is the Keystone Cops. And Chase, like, really, Nelle is really going to believe Chase. Get out of here with that madness.
As great as Jordan is, the way that whole thing with Alexis and Julian fell apart when they were supposedly just outside listening to everything, I would not trust them to be involved in any sort of sting that I'm trying to run. I know coming up at the end of this week, we're going to have a visit from Wendy from Wendy's.
You're lying,
no,
right?
she's going to be coming in.
Stop making that up.
No. This is
seriously?
Yep.
On General Hospital?
Yep.
It's gonna God, I can't. What is it with the fast food? Is it a summer thing? What is going on?
Do you know? And would you have to? Can you guess who their Port Charles connection is?
No.
No.
No. Who?
What?
Who?
Oh, it's Bobby. Because the red hair. So they're.
You're lying.
I am lying about all of that. It's not going to be happening.
Now I know you're lying.
It's
like,
not happening.
When you said Bobby, I'm like, that is so not happening.
You know when Bobby's sitting there talking to Wendy?
Come on. Come on. Jackie Zeman, who plays Bobby, would be like, I'm out of here. Deuces.
I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of General Hospital. There is much ripple to be drunk, so we must let Carla leave so she can finish. But as always, folks, thanks for watching us. Let's give a big shout out for Albert for hanging out here in the studio with us. Yes. Maybe one day Maurice Bernard will be here.
Yeah, whatever. I hate you so much. He will be here. He will be here, and I'll have South African wine for him too.
Oh, well, there we go. But as always, folks, thanks for watching. Like us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thanks everybody for hopping in the chat. Really appreciate your thoughts and feedback. And if you want to continue the conversation with either of us after the show's over, Carla, where can they find you?
You can find me, guys, across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic.
And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Happy Go Jackie, I guess. Yeah, I'm no Colonel Sanders.
And you guys can also catch me at Black Hollywood Live on a show called Black Tomatoes. I host. It's a film review show. Come follow me over there. Talk to me over there, too. All right.
Carla will never invite me on that show.
Yeah, endless promotion. What am I going to do?
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, be safe, be well, go eat some Kentucky Fried Chicken. We'll be back here next Sunday night with another episode of the GH Report right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Deuces.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.